Good morning, everyone. I pray that your Thursday you were able to find spaces and places of joy, of peace, of laughter, that you found spaces and places where you could kind of forget or put aside all the weights that have been bearing you down, all the things that have been making you anxious, all the things that have been making you depressed, that you've been able to put them down even for a couple of minutes so that you can be able to just experience the joy that life has. So simply that you could just be able to breathe. Just being able to breathe. I want to talk to you today. It's still talking about fears, but I want to open with this in this particular manner. We're going to talk about the fear of others. The fear of others. Fearing that which is different than ourselves. And that can show up in so many different types of ways. It's what we call the isms: sexism, racism, homophobism, um, um, xenophobism, just the fear of that which is different than us. And I want you to totally really understand that different does not mean better or worse. It simply means different. I want to thank my viewing community, those of you who have chosen to like this page, those who follow on a regular basis, those who just drop in every now and then, and those who it's your first time. I would begin by saying I would invite you to like and follow and share this page, because we really want to make sure that everyone has access to something that will help them to get through. Something not just to get through, but to be able to thrive and be all that they can be. Now, this audience, my viewing audience, my viewing family, those who I call beloved, and I call each and every one of you beloved, we are all very different. We represent different races, we represent different ages, we represent different countries, we represent different cultures, we represent different sexual orientations. We are all different. And different is good because we all have those things that make us uniquely us, cultural things that we celebrate in terms of our culture and where we find ourselves in community. We all have different experiences, and we can all learn to love and learn from each other. What I appreciate about you, my beloved, is that we appear to, in our comments, to be there for each other. We celebrate each other. We're beginning to learn to trust each other, to be able to look at this page as a safe place. And so I've been thinking about, in terms of fear of others, where does that come from? And I think the obvious answer is, as we've been talking about, is we fear the unknown. If someone does not have the same experiences we have, we tend to fear it, not because it's based on logic, not because it's based on things that are infallible or are definitely true, but we tend to fear because of the unknown, because we don't understand, because it appears to be different. And a lot of us, I would dare say most of us, learn that in our family of origin. Babies do not come out of the womb fearing what is different. Babies come out of the womb open, they come receptive, they come as empty pallets, an empty easel. And as we begin to grow, our environment, the people around us, our communities begin to paint on that canvas. And that then impacts what our thoughts will look like, what our fears may look like. It very much undergirds the different fears that we have. Some of us may have had the experience of growing up in an interracial environment, which I did in New York City. And I went to school, like I said before, like I said in my book, the school that I went to, and this is during the time of integration, that as opposed to the children of color being bused to other neighborhoods, persons who did not look like us in the community were bused to our school. And so that was a different dynamic. And then I was in classes for intelligently gifted children. And so I was always a minority, one of usually about 5 or 6 people of color in a classroom full of people who did not look like me. And I dare say when we were younger, we played together, we were best friends, we shared experiences, those types of things. But as we got older, I suspect that our families of origin, our environment, the television, the movies, different social and cultural things began to impact how we viewed each other. And that continued. So I think on some level, I can definitively say I understand that a fear of the other comes from our family, or may have come from our family of origin. What I wrestle with is the hatred of others. It is one thing to fear. It's another thing to hate the other, and to hate it so vehemently that we will express that hate in ways that sometimes end in death, sometimes end in just horrible consequences. My prayer is that as a community, as a group of people who have made the decision that I want to live a balanced life, I want to have peace in my life, I want to heal from whatever I have gone through. For this community, for you all, beloved, I pray that we will challenge ourselves to identify where our own places of isms are. Are we where we feel less than comfortable, where we fear the other? And that's something you have to do individually. I'm not necessarily asking you to put it in your comments, but I am asking you to consider it for yourself. And then ask yourself, why? Why do I fear that which is different than me? What undergirds that? What images have I seen that have incensed, that have fueled the flames of me feeling fear or even anger or even hatred towards those who don't walk like me, who don't talk like me, who don't look like me, who don't eat the same things that I eat, who didn't have the same cultural experience, who don't love the same way that I love? Where did that come from? And can we honestly say, if we're honest with ourselves, how do we continue to support that? So I want to give us some suggestions of ways to work through whatever your ism may be, whatever it is your fear of the other may be. I would invite you first to learn about that other, because a lot of times our fear are based on stereotypes. It's based on what we see in the media that tends to highlight the bad and not the good. It's based on tales that we grew up with about the other. But to do some research. The second place, which maybe should be the first place, is to recognize whatever other that you have issues with are human beings just like you. They have blood running through their veins the same way you do. They experience the same hope, fears, and dreams that you do. They may experience it differently. Their expression of how they react to it may be different than yours, but we are all human beings. Okay, so recognize that we all have what we all have in common is we're all humans. We're all a part of one great big family, even with all of its dysfunction. The second piece is to learn, to be intentional about learning about the group or whatever it is your ism is, whatever fear of the unknown that you have when it comes to groups of people, when it comes to types of people, when it comes to cultures of people. And then I would invite you, as you begin to do your research, to challenge yourself, to take a risk. To take a risk and get to know a living, breathing soul from that group. Take a risk. You might find that you have much more in common, that you're much more alike than unlike. You may find that just like within people of your own cultural context, there's people you get along with, people you don't. But it's not contingent upon, but those contingencies can be based on all kinds of things. My desire for you all, my desire for you, beloved, is that we will be able to model. We'll be able to model in our own places of influence, in our own family, that as we begin to heal, as we begin to achieve balance in our life, that we will be able to challenge our stereotypical beliefs, we'll be able to challenge our isms, and be able to truly create a community where we love each other, a community where we make space for each other, irrespective of differences. And not just irrespective, but because we are different. Because the old saying says, variety is the spice of life. There's a song that says, I need you, you need me. We are all a part of God's body. Well, I need you, you need me, and whether you believe in a monolithic God or Buddha or whatever it is you believe in, I need you to survive. I need you to contribute to a place where we can all walk in peace, where we can respect each other, where hatred becomes not acceptable, and where we will give ourselves permission to speak out against injustice, but more importantly, stop being the purveyors of injustice in whichever way that your ism has convicted you. I love you all. We will continue to talk tomorrow. If you want to chat with me further about this, I'm open to conversation. We're all in this thing together. I just invite you to continue your self-examination on purpose, because we do need each other to survive. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.